Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ask the Amigos. This is where we answer our Discord community's burning questions. First question comes up from Andy Craig. He says, do you have any comments about the following possibility? What if a newly manufactured standalone Amiga machine came out with an amazing game that compelled people to buy it? Maybe this platform exclusive killer game would boost the sales of the Amiga Maxi or standalone Vampire or Aeon computer, maybe even with the possibility of release the game on other platforms after a couple of months. Well, I think what you're seeing is something like this is you can there are some comparisons here on the ZX Spectrum with the Urbex Warriors game. It's not as if the ZX Next and Urbex Warriors are launching aside each other, but for right now, the Windows version of Urbex Warriors is sort of feature incomplete, I would say. And if you want to play it faux real, you got to play it on the ZX Next. Does something like that help fuel the fire of ZX Next purchasers? I would say yes. I would say that, whenever you see maybe not just that game by itself, but whenever you see a steady stream of exclusive releases come out for a platform, a hardware platform like the ZX Next, it certainly does drive adoption. What do you think, Aaron?
Well, just to touch on the ZX Next thing real quick. Obviously, there's a hunt. They sold a ton of those new run ZX Next. Okay, as someone who thinks that Scoo has a ZX Next here, they're a fun machine.
Well, let's
Okay,
let's be let's be let's be exact about what you have.
I've got an Indigo, but I mean
Right.
it's the exact same thing.
I mean,
In
I've
terms of
got a Mister, which
functionality.
is also the exact same thing.
Well, yeah. So the big question is, in terms of, and here's the thing with the Warriors game, Urbex Warriors, it got funded to the tune of what, six times what they asked.
Hmm.
So we've got a lot of interest and we've got a lot of people buying these. So my challenge to the ZX community is crank it up, for God's sakes. I went out looking for the newest, the best and brightest ZX Next stuff, and I was disappointed. There was not as much stuff out there as I thought there would be. And it didn't seem like there was that much interest at the time. So I'm hoping that this whips the ZX Next folks up into a frenzy and maybe makes a more economically feasible path for people to take. They're trying to make money off games. That's what I hope. In terms of the question, I don't see with the Amiga. I just don't see it happening. I mean, what's the best game the Amiga could run? You could make it. Is it going to make a dent in the with the rest of the world? It's not. It may be awesome with the people. I mean, look at the Atari 2600. They've got new games coming out now. They're really doing a good job of trying to reinvigorate their old stuff with the new line, new games for the 2600 and 7800. It's great, but there's a ceiling on how far that's going to take you. I mean, could the Amiga? And the thing is, the Atari had wide acceptance in the States. I don't know how it did in Europe, both the 2600. But so it's hard to make a comparison. But I just don't see a scenario where an Amiga, even with a killer app, is going to be a big time seller worldwide. I mean, it may
Well,
be.
this is what it would take. This is what it would take. Okay, we're going to release the Amiga Maxi, a full-size Amiga 1200, basically what the Ultimate Commodore 64 is, except it's an Amiga 1200, okay? And then we're going to get Ron Gilbert and Tim Schafer, and they're going to make Maniac Mansion 2, a direct sequel to Maniac Mansion, not Day of the Tentacle, but a real sequel to Maniac Mansion. That would be what it would take. The chances of that happening are zero. Because you'd have to have a game that people outside of the Amiga community care about.
Yeah,
Because all of the games that the Amiga community care about, by and large, were also available on other platforms at the same time.
yeah,
So it would have to be an Amiga exclusive that you could only play on the Amiga Maxi.
yeah. So, like, I mean, yeah, somebody hadn't thought of it. That's great, Bode. That's real good insight there. If some guys came out and said, "Listen, we are making a new iteration of Lemmings exclusively distributed on the Amiga Maxi." Right, I'm trying to think of what the biggest, most widespread Amiga games were. All right, and the Lemmings came to mind. Right, so that you might get some action off something like that, because you're right. If it's a well-known, well-distributed property, even if it appeared on other machines, you're getting exclusive rights to it. You might have something there. So well done. I hadn't thought about that.
Our next question comes from Ravi. He says, if you guys formed a 70s glam rock band, what would your outfits and what would your name be?
Boy, you want to start on that one, Bode?
Well, I always think about the Key and Peele funk band skit.
Love
would be
that one.
that would be a place to start. We definitely need to have a little bit of costuming straight out of the Rasputin video. These are not glam rock bands per se, but they do glam rock better than the glam rock bands. I definitely want to have a singlet that had a the cutout, James Brown cutout with the cape. That would be part of my attire.
You could do a one strap or the double.
Double. I don't do a one strap.
Yeah,
it's too risky.
I like it. And a name. You got a name for yourself to?
Oh boy, no. I'm horrible with coming up with names.
I think I would go with a.
Well, okay, like T-Rex, right? That's like the prototypical. So why don't we just go off that? Why don't we just call ourselves like T-Ceratops?
Yeah, we'll work on that. Also, no. So I gotta have the big, huge boots, the like tall ones, and I want them to alternate rainbow colors on the bottom, like real tall ones. But my suit would be all white, right? Because and then but it would be skin tight, and then my I'd have a cape, white top hat, a cane. Right, with a big diamond on top of it, and I'd be called Pork Chop. That'd be my name, and I'd get funky. So that's what I envision that for me.
I like that a lot. A lot. Ravi's second question: do you pay for YouTube Premium or do you suffer the adverts? I pay for YouTube Premium gladly.
It's funny. I never paid for it because I'm cheap. But they conned me about 4 months ago. They're like, hey, you can have like 3 or 4 months of this for free. And I'm like, oh, well, screw it, I'm gonna try it. And then now I can't. There's no going back.
There's no going back.
I heard Brent said it's a lesser level that you can go to, like pay less. So I may explore that. But right now I am paying for the big dog.
Yeah. And finally, do you have much experience of the TRS 80?
What? Yes. God, yes. Clearly Rabbi's been out of the loop. We did a show on it for years, and we still do.
I mean, do you consider the TRS 80 the same as the Tandy color computer?
Yes, it's called the TRS 80 color computer. I've got one right here.
I guess you're right. I guess it is.
But I'd also know about the original Model 1, Model 3. Yes, absolutely. I'm not L. Curtis Boyle. That's like get crazy. I don't have that stuff injected into my vein.
If you're talking about the TRS-80 color computer, Aaron and I have done many shows on it, and the show continues with Aaron and the brain. If you're talking about the Model 1 and that sort of thing, I don't know anything about that. Aaron
we love it.
He's the font of knowledge there.
Me and the Brent grew up with the Coco TRS-80 color computer, so we have intimate knowledge and love for the thing. I mean, intimate, if you know what I mean. But also the Tandy Model 1, I believe, or one of the Model 2, one of the early models, was the very first computer I ever saw. So yeah, they had them at school. Love them. Get one now.
Is Too Scooby asks, do you get motion sick, car sick, or seasick? My answer is yes. I get all of those, and it's gotten worse as I've gotten older.
Really? I've only got motion sick one time riding with somebody ever. But I did get motion sick seeing that movie where it's all shot on it's a monster movie where it's all shot on like a handy cam or whatever.
Cloverfield.
I got sick as a dog in the theater. Yeah. I had to. I mean, I got past it, but it was brutal. I was like, man, I'm dying. So yeah, that one got me. But generally, I've never had any trouble with that.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Scoob also asks, do you have a favorite condiment?
Boy, misheard you there. Honey mustard, I'd say, would probably be my favorite.
That's solid. Yeah, honey mustard solid.
I like mayo a lot, though. It's also in there.
Yeah. I'm a traditionalist. I think if I could only pick one, I'd have to go with ketchup.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I was trying to be cute, you see.
Mm,
But yeah,
mm,
that one too. Really, it's
yeah,
a triple threat. It's the
yeah,
holy trinity of condiments: mayo, ketchup, mustard.
that's right. That's right. And finally, celery, eat or yeet.
Yeet.
You don't like celery.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I
I like
wish I did.
celery. I'm a big celery guy, and I'm a weird celery eater, and that a lot of
Believe that.
people a lot of people put peanut butter on celery, or they
Yeah.
put cream cheese or something like that. I don't think that makes celery taste better. I think it makes it taste worse. I like just plain old celery. I'll eat it all day.
You're
It's
like a
fine.
bunny.
Yeah. David Hearn Ryder asks, why were almost all of the European platform games on the Amiga so bad?
Well, is David Hearn American, Boat?
No, I think he's Australian.
It's Australia. Okay, so we're not from Europe. All right, let's go this
True.
route.
True.
Um, they developed a different sort of scheme, of strategy, of style of platformers. Uh, I didn't grow up playing those. I grew up playing mostly stuff from either America or Japan. All right, and it's a different style. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's bad. I think it's different. I think were hamstrung to a certain degree by time and the machine they were using. And so I think the combination of these things led to some what you would consider lackluster titles.
I have a theory about this. My theory comes from the fact that um, platforming games grew out of one of two Genesis points in Europe. You either had a kind of the single screen platformer in the vein of Miner 2049er slash Jet Set Willie, or you had the platformer that grew out of your Rainbow Islands and Bubble Bobble. And British game designers tended to think of platforming as games got more advanced and as memory capacity rose, they tended to think of just taking those games and making them bigger, making the canvas grow in all directions. So, like when you're in Photoshop and you want to increase the canvas and you click on the arrows to make the canvas expand in various directions, and there's one arrow you can press that makes the arrows point up and out in all directions. And that's how they made the 16-bit and the later 8-bit platformers, is they took those single screen experiences of a lot of verticality, and it just made them made them exponentially larger. And so instead of going on a linear path, which is how the Japanese platformers did it, where you have part A and part B, and you're traversing from a set point to an end point. This was more of an exploration, collecting things in these huge levels and then finding the exit. And so it's a totally different kind of philosophy of game design, born out of that genesis point of the single screen platformer.
I would also throw in that these games came right up. The games we play on the Amiga came right up through the original early European computers, the ZX81, the ZX Spectrum, and the tape scene, and the cheap and the getting the games at the pharmacy scene, and the fact that it was a bang for your buck affair, and that it makes more sense to prolong the gameplay by having you nose around, and which is it's just exactly like you said, the exploration element. So I'd say that's a factor as well. We've speculated that in the past Bode. But again, I think a lot of it is, and don't get me wrong, a bad platform is a bad platform, or sometimes they just stink. Sometimes Switchblade comes to mind is one I just thought was no good, but
Hmm.
people love that one, but I hated it. But sometimes it's just not our style of game that makes it unappealing to us.
Right, right. Next up, David Hearn writes, I know JOTD is keeping the Amiga games coming, but what happens when you have reviewed all the games? Well, I know there was they did a count at some point. They said there were something like 10,000 Amiga games. And so we just recorded episode 500 something. So we will be gone before the Amiga games are gone.
Unless we really hurry.
Yeah, yeah. And question number 3, what has got you feeling upbeat about Hurricane this month, apart from Boat Fest? Well, Boat Fest is over. Aaron, what's got you feeling upbeat about Hurricane?
Well, they just paved Tays Valley Road. That's nice.
That's good.
It looks nice. They've realigned it and stuff. You know, Hurricane's not the worst place to be. There's
No.
something about a small town right now that I find very appealing. In fact, the smaller the better. And so I take pleasure in the fact that I can live in a place that is not exorbitantly expensive and that has a good school right next door. So I can take because really the kid, I got to get this kid, I got to drag him through high school. And if you're going to drag him through one, you might as well go to one of the best ones in the state, which happens to
Yeah.
be next door to me.
Yeah.
So there's something else I'm happy about.
Yeah. I'm feeling upbeat because my mom moved back to Hurricane a couple months ago. And it's great having her back around. And she missed it. You know, she moved up to Copley, Ohio. She thought she wanted to live in a retirement community. And it turns out that she didn't. She didn't want to live there at all. She wants to live in a regular place where people are not getting ready to shake forth the mortal coil.
Oh,
And so,
Jesus, bro.
yeah.
Jeez.
And so she's moved to the new apartments there on Tays Valley Road, the 304 apartments that are very, very nice. She swims twice a day in the brand new swimming pool they've got there. She's nearby her friends. She's happy. And just like with Luke, when my mom's happy, I'm happy. Garibaldi asks, if you had the chance to get to programming teams of 2 Amiga games back together again to make some adaptations to a game to fix some crucial flaws or to make some cool additions, which one would you choose?
Oh, boy. And how many of these do we get to pick? 2?
2.
I'm trying to think if there are games that we liked but had a fatal flaw where we could
That's
get
all
back
of them.
No,
All of them.
no, not all of them, but there's some. I would like to get the guy. We were talking about magnetic fields earlier because I'm going to do a stream on those guys, and magnetic fields did the Lotus series and whatnot. I would love to get those guys back together for a 4th game that has the graphical fidelity and the smoothness and the beauty of Lotus 2, but also puts in the racing construction set element, which I really did like in the 3rd one. The problem was, to implement that, they had to sort of degrade the actual gameplay, so to speak. It's not as attractive. I would love to see them actually be able to take the beauty of the 2nd game, add in the construction set part of the 3rd game, and then how about some in-game music in there? Would be nice. I think we've all missed that. And sound effects. I want the dub. I want it all, Boat. So I think that's the first one I would pick. What about you? You can pick one.
I think the Lotus 2, Lotus 2 is my number one answer. Because there are just a few things that they need to change. Make maybe a career mode where, it's not just an arcade racer. Definitely putting the music back in, and that would be an all-time classic. So that's my first one. My second one, I don't know. I mean, probably one of the Cinemaware games. Besides Wings. Wings is already perfect. But like a game like Rocket Ranger could be a lot more fun if they kind of made the mini games a little bit less crap and made Rocket Ranger himself a little bit easier to take off. A lot of those Cinemaware games, I think, were just like a few months away from really, really being brilliant.
Yeah, good choice. I've got a second one, and it's timely. So I tuned into Adam's Commodore Chronicles stream last night. The streams every Thursday night. And he was playing Amiga stuff, and he asked for a suggestion for something different. And I told him he should play Walker. You know I love Walker, the Psygnosis game. And it was developed by the guys that were at DMA Design. So they're sort of still around, because I believe they ultimately became Rockstar, or at least part of it. I would love to see these guys get back together and take the concept of Walker and either like do a sequel in the Amiga or do a whole other game with the same sort of control scheme, but like scale everything right. Think of the possibilities you could do with a game like that. I've never understood why this game, and I've had people send me various people like sort of like Walker, but no one ever has done a straight up cool sequel to Walker. So the guys at DMA Design, I would get them together and say, listen, you did great on this first one, but now I want to see you crank it up. So that'd be the other one I'd pick.
Walker's a good choice because that is another one that definitely a couple changes could really make it above and beyond.
Yeah.
And here's a tricky one from Garibaldi.
Let's just say a
If
trick
you
question. I know.
if you could merge two games into one, or maybe just the character of one game into the second game, which would you choose?
The character of one game into the second. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
So, remember the jerky caveman game
Yeah.
that we weren't too fond of? What was the name of that? Do you remember?
Kid Chaos.
Kid Chaos. They've got to have a crossover with him and the chick, the Asian girlfriend's guy. What was Jim Powers?
Jim Power.
That's what I want. Jim Powers X caveman guy and the ultimate mashup of games. I would love to see that. And maybe you could have two players where you could each play one. And the whole game, they're systematically humiliated as they go through it, which would be fine with me. Because make it tongue in cheek. I think that'd be a great crossover.
I would love to see KT star in Yolanda because I would take such pleasure in watching her fall to her death over and over and over again.
I've got both those games right behind me. If I could somehow smush the boxes together, I would do it, Bo, just for you. That would be the ultimate horrible game.
And here comes a special question from Garibaldi, pertinent. Would you prefer to live on Deep Space Nine or on Babylon 5?
Babylon 5. Babylon 5, any day of the week.
Now, you can't just say that because you think B5 is a better show.
Yeah, I can. I would rather be there because it's more like a real place. They got gambling. I know they've got gambling DS9, but not like the B5. They've got the down under part. They've got all that crazy stuff. They've got they're hovering over that cool planet right there. But the big reason is B5 is like it's more wide open on that place. It's not like regulated real tightly like DS9. The captain's cooler, the staff's cooler. See all those crazy aliens walking around. Better ships. Better crap to look at out the window. You're going to get some battles. Hopefully you won't be killed, but you're going to see them point blank. So, yeah, I would take B5 100 times over DS9.
I'm with you, except for one thing that makes me pick DS9. One word, holodeck.
Well, I mean, you got me there. They do got that. They do got that.
Yeah, so.
They got hollow suites, as I recall. So that might be interesting.
Yeah. Buck Owens asks, film, television, video games, literature, whatever, what death of a fictional character hit you the hardest?
You want to tackle that one?
Yeah, because there's only one. There's only been one, really. I was a huge Battlestar Galactica fan. When they brought that show back in the late aughts. And my favorite character was Officer Duala. She's a really pretty girl. She started out as it just sort of like down the chain of command, and she eventually works her way up. She eventually ends up marrying what's his name, Leodama. But then they become apart. Anyway, she's just like one of these like girl next door. She's basically the girl next door. And at the end of this is towards the end of the show really goes off the rails once they go back to Earth and everything. It's just horrible.
It always does for that show.
Yeah. And basically what happens is once she sees Earth, she goes out, and her and Adama they have drinks, they dance together, she gets dressed up. Then she goes back to her barracks and shoots herself. And that was the moment that I was like, I hate this show, and I hate you for making me watch it. Showrunners of this show, like
That's brutal.
It's brutal, and I hate it. And that's the only death of a character in fiction that's ever really got to me.
Yeah, Happy mentioned one that it would be my number one, but it's obvious, which is Spock's death in Wrath of Khan. That was brutal, brutal. But now that
Yeah.
you know he came back, it's not that brutal.
See, I never knew that he didn't come back. So that
Yeah,
was
well,
the
that's
yeah.
that's. See, trust me. When I saw that, when I
Mhm.
walked out of the theater after Wrath, I was furious. I was so mad. And so was my buddy who went with me. We were both Star Trek guys, and we were just furious. It didn't matter how good the film was. We couldn't. It was a lot like what you said. How could they do this to me? But I'm going to go with sort of an arbitrary movie that I really. It's funny. I don't think about it that often, and I'll never watch it again. And I didn't even know what I was watching the first time. But there was this boxing movie called Million Dollar Baby,
Oh yeah.
and the
That's not a
end of
real
that
happy film.
movie,
Yeah.
the end of that movie is just brutal. So
Mhm.
that one is on the list. Another one that's brutal, and I'm going to pick two, all right? Because I don't care. If you've ever seen One Flew of the Cuckoo's Nest, that's the end of that movie where the main character gets a lobotomy and ultimately is smothered to death for his own good. That was another brutal one.
Mhm.
That starred a guy from right here right in West Virginia in Huntington, actually. And so that was just reading about that the other day, and I thought about how I felt when that happened. It was real. That's a tough one. So those are a couple. I'm sure I could think of some other ones, but those are off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
bring down question.
Let's move on to something happier, please. Looking back to the 80s or 90s, like the Atom version of the ColecoVision game console, is there an arcade cabinet you can envision adding a keyboard to make it also act as a computer for fun? Maybe something like a trackball for mouse functionality. Imagine a computer based on the Capcom CPS2 or the Neo Geo MVS.
Oh, I see what he means. Okay.
I,
Huh.
you know, I a lot of this stuff, like for example, in Japan, the NES had a keyboard that came with it and stuff that you could do stuff with. I don't know. I don't know that I
An
want to
arcade
have.
machine, though. That's
Yeah,
that's.
I don't know
Um,
that I want. I mean, can you think of anything?
I'm thinking about the various bits of hardware. So, like, I think I've got one. Um, the Naomi hardware. It's funny because we actually own an arcade machine that had a Naomi board in it, and we have a keyboard on it because it's what we use for our main pedestal out there in the arcade right now, Bode.
Mm-hmm.
But the Naomi hardware, which was the same, pretty much the same hardware that ran the Dreamcast, uh, you can actually. I watch people use Linux on it or boot it up to Windows. So theoretically, because remember it said powered by Windows CE. Remember that printed on the side of the Dreamcast,
Mm-hmm.
that was not really true. But there was a way you could actually boot an operating system with your Dreamcast. So technically, you should probably be able to do that on the Naomi theoretically. So that I would go with the Naomi just because I can't think of anything else that I think would be powerful enough to be used as any sort of decent computer that would have that sort of functionality maybe built into it. That's just a guess.
Yeah, I've got nothing on this one. I can't think of anything that I'd want to have a keyboard on it on an arcade machine. Sorry, Andy.
That's a crazy one though.
Batman says, "What are your thoughts on the Wicker Man?"
Well, Nicolas Cage version is right. You should never watch this film, Bode. I'm
I
assuming
will
you've never
not.
seen it,
Nope.
but it's it's a stupid movie. But there's a scene at the I've seen two versions of this. I don't know how many exist. But the one that I remember the most is the one that had Nick Cage in it. Because anything with Nick Cage in it is instantly goofy. Even a violent so at the end of this movie, at one point they basically put a cage over his head and they dump a bunch of bees in there. Okay,
Of
now
Nicolas Cage?
on Nicolas Cage, so he's got a helmet full of bees, full
That's
of them.
weird.
And so your average person might say something like "ah" or "ho ho," but Nicolas Cage he's like, "Oh no, not the bees! The bees! Not the bees are stinging me!" I'm thinking about stuff. Is that what you're really gonna say? And you're probably not gonna open your mouth because bees are
Right.
flying there. But I always thought that was funny. But yeah, that's another movie. Depressing. You should never watch that movie, Boat of Cards.
I'm probably not gonna. We're gonna watch this as Spinal Tap tomorrow, and after I watch that and the sequel, I probably won't ever watch another movie.
Oh,
Um.
jeez.
So we're gonna move on here to the next
That was good.
question. Um, Pajako says, if you had a retro gaming museum on your doorstep, would you prefer one dedicated to home computers, arcade machines, or pinball? I'll take this one first. If we had a retro gaming museum in Hurricane, I would much prefer it to be dedicated to home computers, because I think home computers foster a sense of community. They're easy to move around. You can bring yours in, you can show it off, you can take it home, you can tinker with them. You can add stuff to them. And with arcade machines and pinball machines, you're essentially playing with the machines that are there.
Well,
And there's
also,
not a lot of turnover.
for me, I would agree with you on that. By the way, it'd definitely be home computers, and there's one huge reason: repairs. Like
Yeah.
repairing a computer, you get in there and repair it. I
Mm.
can tell you from firsthand experience, repairing a pinball machine is
Mm-mm.
nightmare fuel.
Mm-mm.
And
Nope.
repairing a lot of arcade machines, I've got one over there, the hard drive machine. If you saw what was inside that, or a 720, like it's all kinds of Atari was bonkers. And so
Mhm.
you never know what kind, or the Tron I had. It's no, I'll take the computers every day of the week. But and I don't give a crap about the community. I'm worried about me. If this is like my sideline, I'm doing this. I'm not. I don't have time to fix pinball machines. As cool as that would be, if it came with a dedicated geek that would fix them, then I'd pick pinball.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And his other question is, what's the last rabbit hole you went down on a non-retro gaming subject?
Go ahead, Boat. I'll think about that for a second.
For me, it's miniature painting. I'm back on the miniature painting horse. I sit down in the basement, and for about 3 hours a night, I just sit there and paint little miniatures.
For me, I have to say it sort of links back to retro gaming, but not really. I mentioned this before when we spoke on Amigos about Boat Fest and how much fun we have with those little broadcast
Hmm.
via the RF broadcasters. And I'm not sure that's even been pronounced exactly what it is, but it shoots video across the room on the old antenna level. But they got me to thinking about putting together. I've got an old TV sitting in here, as you know, and I've got a little like monitor gimmick in. I thought it'd be fun to put like 12 hours of TV together, like a station, and just have it kind of run on there on repeat, and then every once in a while change it out. And so I've been thinking about amassing these old shows. I tried to find like a full, complete day's broadcast, but I can't find one anywhere. There's got to be one somewhere. And so I've been looking through old like 1950s TV, TV listings in the paper and stuff to try to find what was playing so I could kind of like recreate it on my own. So I mean, that's sort of what I've been doing.
Mm. Cameron Armstrong asks, do you think the day will come when you finally declare, okay, I'm bored of the Amiga, time to let it go and get on with my life?
What do you mean will come? I'd say we both have had that happen hundreds of times. But the funny thing about it is, I can't speak for Boat. I can tell you how I feel. Um, Once we got an easy way to play games, it made a marked difference in how much I enjoyed doing the show.
Yes.
One of the
Yeah.
worst things we had to do was just try, and this is in the early days because we've been around that long, was to just try to play the game at the right speed with the right, is it PAL, is it NTSC, what do you, like, how much memory do you need, all this crap. And the emulators weren't up to snuff at the time, and we weren't up to snuff, and it was just difficult. It's so once now, all I've got to do is basically turn on any number of items, the actual Amiga, the Mister, the emulator, whatever, and like it's instantly ready to go. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think about it. I can just start playing, and that I can't tell you how big a difference that makes. So I would say that like I've already hit that level multiple times, but now I don't see it happening because I enjoy playing games, and when they're accessible, I really enjoy them.
Yeah. I doing the show keeps me interested in the Amiga.
Yeah.
If I didn't do the show, I would probably be bored with the Amiga, like I get bored with most stuff, and things come and go. But all of the things that continuously happen around the Amiga, whether it's new hardware, new software, getting people together for Boat Fest, doing Amigathon. It's hard to get bored of the Amiga when the Amiga is like a central part of most of my life. So uh, if I ever let go of the Amiga, it's because I've let go of the show because something has happened and I can't do the show anymore. But I don't think I'll ever, while I'm doing the show, being like, "Hey, Aaron, let's change the show and not make it about the Amiga anymore."
Yeah, because
I
we
would
we
never do
did
that.
that. I will say branching out was also. I mean, I know both you don't
I branched
play,
back in.
but I mean you did. That
Yeah,
helped.
yeah.
That's something else to because we had other interests and still do.
Hmm, hmm.
And so it's nice to be able to get in there and try other stuff as well, because there's a big world out there that we were, So it's I don't get bored about. I don't get bored of it at all. I will
Hmm.
say that.
Yeah. And Cameron's second question is, what is your favorite Amiga related YouTube channel or podcast?
You want to answer that one?
Um, most of the guys I hate. Um, the probably Neil. I mean, I can stand to watch Neil. He does Amiga stuff.
But is there anyone that's dedicated to Amiga that you watch every week?
No, all those guys, like that hold and modify guy. I mean, I'd rather just close the lid of the
Well, he's
laptop.
got good stuff on there. He does a lot of Babylon 5 stuff. I like that.
I
Um,
just don't like. I really, it's really not so much him. It's his stupid avatar with the ham on his head.
just
I can't take that seriously.
you pick these fights up for no reason. There's nothing wrong with that guy. I watch. It's funny. Um, as I sit here and think about like people that are dedicated to just the Amiga, right? So I do enjoy when I can catch them. I enjoy Amiga Bill's live streams.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
um,
Bill. I forgot about, if you count Bill. If you count
I
Bill as a
do.
YouTuber, I mean he's mostly Twitch, but Bill is far and away my favorite. Absolutely.
I used to like a show called Amiga Rama. That unfortunately he didn't last more than a couple years, but I enjoyed it. I thought he was fun. I enjoy Chris Edwards, but sometimes I also get frustrated or sad or angry at those videos because it makes me wonder why anyone would ever do this or buy one of these. And so that's why I like his stuff, but also it makes me mad. It's not his fault. It's just the fact that I'm like, this thing is crap. Like, why are we toting these things along? And then he'll fix them. So I'll throw him on the list too. And I'm sure
You
I'm
know,
a,
Duncan mentions 10-minute Amiga
oh
Retrocast,
yeah, Doug.
but I think he's inactive. I think he's done.
Yeah, I
So
haven't seen Doug.
yeah.
He's done one
I
show in like
mean,
months.
if we're going old school, like non-active people, then I only have one answer. Anthony Jarvis's
Anthony
Amiga show.
Jarvis Amiga show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that was
was the
great.
single greatest Amiga program that has ever existed.
I
I
love that
mean, it
show.
was so
Yeah,
good.
I loved
So
it. I agree with
all
you on that.
time, I go with that. But now, still happening, I got to go with Amiga Bill.
Yeah, come on, Anthony. What's a hold up, pal? You need to
Yeah,
get that thing. I mean, granted, they were pretty intricate, pretty tough to make episodes, but I love those. You're right. That was one of my all time favorite shows of any sort.
yeah. That
Just
was
because
a
it
show. That was a
real
show where I'd
fresh.
turn it on, I'd settle in, and just enjoy it.
He was a real fresh
Hmm.
take.
Yeah,
He really. I thought he nailed it. But listen. Just to round out, I love Doug,
yeah.
and
Doug's
so does
great.
Boat.
Yeah.
And we miss Doug. And so I don't know what's going on with Doug and his channel, but I hope you're back soon, Doug, because Doug's always been, we've had Doug and Chris Edwards and Amiga Bill. They've all been on the International Computer Club or on the Amigathons. We're all a big, happy family. The Retro Hour guys who did a lot of Amiga stuff, Ravi. And so I think all those guys are absolutely worth going out of your way for. And for the people I haven't met that do Amiga stuff, I'd love to meet you. So
Forgot
hit us
about
up.
Ravi. Ravi's another one of these guys that um he doesn't do videos that often, so I tend to forget about him. But when he does do these documentaries, they're
They were
great.
great.
And then like Kim Justice is my all-time favorite retro YouTuber. Like all of the videos that I'm not talking about her streams. Her streams, she works a little blue. But the
Yeah, she
legit
does.
videos that she does, the documentary content that she does, and the lists and everything, I could sit there and watch those for days. So I
And
guess
Dan
she's
did good stuff too.
yeah, yeah,
As well. He did some really good Amiga centric things back in the day too. We named like 20 guys.
right. So
I don't really
it's
don't
hard to
have
pick a favorite. It's hard to pick a
I
favorite.
would say I'm with both. If I had to pick one, I really liked Anthony Jarvis's show a lot,
Yeah,
but
Anthony's the best.
there are all the other shows. I watch every single one. So I mean, every week. I never miss a single one of any of those shows. So I would endorse all of them.
Our final question, Aaron, comes from Buck Owens. He says, "What uncommon food flavor combination do you enjoy that the world needs to know about?"
I like. Okay, I'm not what I would call the most vegetable-rific fellow, but I do like. Here's what I like. I like this. I like cream. I like cream of tomato soup.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then Chad turned me on to these Greek spices. All right, so you get you a
Okay.
bunch of crackers. I like to
Mm-hmm.
get the salt-free saltines, the
Yeah,
salt-free
healthy.
ones, crackers.
Yeah.
No, because the thing I'm dumping in there will override the salt. You don't need that much. This Greek spices I put in here,
Mm-hmm.
they do it, and this is a tasty treat. So I would say, uh, cream. First of all, cream of tomato soup sounds horrible. It's a horrible idea. Who thought of that? But I don't. It works. I don't know why. And then, but that would be the one I would go with. What about you?
I love the taste of meat and sweet together. Uh, like a Monte Cristo. You ever eat those at Bennigan's?
I've
A,
never
a,
been to
Mon-
Bennigan's.
a Monte Cristo is a ham, like a big old ham and turkey and cheese sandwich,
Yeah.
but it's served with like French toast. It's served with French toast
Hmm.
with powdered sugar dusted on the top, and
Okay.
you dip it into raspberry jelly, and you eat it,
No, I've
and
never
it's
had
great.
that. That
Yeah,
sounds pretty
it's
good.
it's a unique combination of meat and sweet.
Is it better
So
than a peanut butter bacon burger? Is my
I
question.
haven't had one. I haven't had one. You know, we need to hear the final verdict on the peanut butter bacon burger.
Oh yeah, when I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, I did have a peanut butter bacon burger at the Braxton axe throwing restaurant. When I saw the check, I wanted to throw an axe, and so I couldn't resist but order it. And it's exactly what you expect. It's peanut butter on a bacon hamburger with cheese. It's funny, you would not think those flavors would mix, and they don't. What they do is they just exist. So when you're eating the hamburger with the bacon, you taste everything, and then you also taste peanut butter in there. Is it disgusting? No. Does it make you gag? No. Does it enhance the flavor of the other food? No. And they don't enhance it. It just exists in your mouth. It's just there. And so I would say I would give it the thumbs down just because I don't see it. It doesn't add anything, but your mileage may vary.
Yeah, Buck Owens in the chat says our Bennigan's is long gone. Yeah, the Bennigan's that was part of the Huntington Mall closed down probably in the late '90s.
Yeah. I
But
forgot about that place.
when I moved to Korea, against all odds, they had a Bennigan's in the town that I lived in, which was the craziest thing ever. And on the weekends to treat myself, kind of like when you were in KSP training and you went to the role playing shop to buy a book to console yourself.
Yeah.
When I was feeling lonely, when I was feeling down, I'd go to Bennigan's. I get myself a Monte Cristo.
Very good. Very good. That sounds intriguing. I may have to try one of this next time I see one on the menu boat.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up Ask the Amigos this month. As always, if you're a member of our Patreon club, patreon.com/Amigos podcast, you have access to our Discord server and you can post a question in the Ask the Amigos channel and we will answer it next month. Thanks as always for listening and watching. We will see you next time. And until then, adios.
Adios.